Today's episode of Chicago Bears Now is presented by True Classic Tees, our newest sponsor here on the channel. And you can get 25% off at trueclassictees.com/chat. Very comfortable t-shirts that I'm rocking. You can get nice bundle deals. We'll tell you a little bit more about them later on in the show. True Classic Tees sponsoring today's show. We appreciate them for doing just that. All right, training camp is in the books for the Bears officially. Some teams haven't called it officially the end of camp, but the Bears have. They are off today, and they're going into their game week mode tomorrow. They want to do a little trial run heading into the final preseason game. So Matt Eberflus says camp is over. We're now in game week mode. Training camp is in the books. So with that being said, I wanted to do some final training camp winners and losers from the entire, 3-4 weeks, however long it's been. Take a look at some guys who stood out, some guys who did not so much. So we'll do that coming up on today's show. But first, with camp over, season's around the corner. Who is excited for the 2022 season? If you are, spam bear down in the comment section below. I'm fired up. I know you guys are as well. One more preseason to go. We're excited for that also. But regular season, man, it's going to be a great time. Get the bear downs going in the comment section. All right, some camp winners and losers, and I'm going to keep you guys on your toes. Not going to do all the winners at once, all the losers at once, but we'll start on a positive note, and that is with the quarterback, Justin Fields. And I'm not going to sit here and say it's been perfect and it's been the biggest winner of training camp, Fields, because there's been mistakes. He's been up and down, of course, but from the beginning of camp to the end, clearly strides have been made. We saw that from preseason game number 1 to preseason game number 2. Strides were made with the offense and with Fields. The first week of camp was not good. The defense dominated every single day. Fields didn't look comfortable. Offense was still being installed. Not saying it's a finished product. It shouldn't be a finished product, but at this point in time, I think it's very, very clear that the quarterback has made strides from the beginning of camp to the end of camp. Got to continue to make those strides on into the regular season. We'll see if he plays in the preseason finale. All right, let's go to a loser here. N'Keal Harry, who the Bears traded a 7th-round pick for before training camp began. Reality is he just hasn't been able to leave his mark because he suffered that ankle injury early on in camp. I think he practiced maybe a week, 10 days or so before suffering that ankle injury. And I think going into that injury, it was probably wide receiver 5 or so. So he was on the safe side, but not super safe. I think his roster spot is in jeopardy at this point. I have no idea what Chicago is going to do, not only with Harry, but really the back end of that receiver spot in general. Like, we know who the safe guys are: Darnell Mooney, Byron Pringle, Velus Jones, Equanimous St. Brown. But after that, who's going to make this team? I think Tajay Sharp has to be ahead of N'Keal Harry at this point. So is Harry going to be wide receiver 6, maybe short-term IR, and then bring a cut back? We'll see. He hasn't been able to show what he can do since he has been injured. What do you guys think? Will N'Keal Harry make the initial Bears 53-man roster? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I don't think it's a given either way. Let us know what you guys think down in the comments section. All right, Kyler Gordon, he's been up, he's been down. I think when he's gotten to play, for the most part, he's flashed. They've had enough confidence in him to play nickel and outside corner, but the reality is, just like OTAs in minicamp when he missed some time, he's missed more practice time during training camp, and I would call it valuable time that he has missed. And I think that showed on the tape against Seattle. He missed a tackle. Sure, he was flying around. He looked athletic and good in some areas, but a bit rusty is how I would describe it. He looked like a guy who had missed some practice time and, quite frankly, hadn't played in a football game in quite a long time. I would like to see him play in the preseason finale and kind of get ready to go for the regular season. Now, like we said, today's show is sponsored by True Classic Tees. And guys, they offer really good bundles, like this 6-pack for just $14.99 per t-shirt. You can get the 9-pack for $13.88 per tee as well. And what I want to tell you about True Classic is, look, as a bigger guy, a taller guy, it's hard for me to find shirts that are comfortable, especially ones that aren't 100% pure cotton. These are kind of that 50-50 blend where you got some cotton, some polyester. They're very comfortable. And look, my weight fluctuates quite a bit as well, so it's hard to find shirts that I consistently like to wear. With True Classic Tees, these are comfortable, they're simple, not the flashiest shirts, but I don't like flash anyway. These are very, very nice and comfortable. I bought a 6-pack. I'm good to go. I can wear a different one each day of the week here at work. You're going to see some different t-shirts as well that we're rocking on the shirt. be comfortable regardless of if you have a six-pack or if you have a bit of a beer gut. It's football season. We all get a beer gut this time of year. True Classic Tees fits males of all sizes. Go to trueclassictees.com/chat. That'll get you 25% off at checkout. All right, let's go to Roquan Smith, who is a camp loser. I think we're all glad that he is back. And let me be clear, this is not have anything to do with his play, right? But I think he has to be in the loser category considering he wanted to reset the linebacker market. And not only does that not happen, he actually doesn't get a new contract at all. Recently returned to practice, came out and said contract negotiations have stalled. He feels disrespected, but he's going to bet on himself and play this year out. But let's be honest, there is some risk involved there as he's looking to get long-term security with a new contract. Things haven't worked out in his favor, let's just be honest. But hopefully he can put that to the side, play some football, ball out, and either get paid by the Bears after this season or by another team. Now, we've mentioned it before. The Bears have the franchise tag in their favor as well, which is probably another bullet point to why Smith is on the loser side here. But we'll see how it plays long term. I think in the short term, obviously, did not work out for Roquan Smith. Now, will this be Roquan's last year in Chicago? Type 1 for yes, type 2 for no. We'll see. I don't know. I think we have to see how he plays in this system. If he plays at a superstar level, you're probably going to want to keep him. But if not, maybe you tag and trade him. I think the Bears will have options after this year. Darnell Mooney, listen, he just is smooth, man. He's just smooth. We saw the jump he made from year 1 to year 2 for the Chicago Bears, became a 1,000-yard guy in that garbage offense last year. That has carried over. Him and Fields got a lot of work in the offseason. That carried over into OTAs, into minicamp, into training camp. He flourished. He looked like a guy who's ready to be that number 1 receiver, a reliable weapon for Justin Fields. You saw the two of them and Cole Kmet kind of chopping it up on the sidelines against Seattle the other night. They were having a few laughs. You can tell those three guys really get along. They're on the same page. Mooney looks ready to be a number 1. Now, will he become one of these, true, Cooper Kupp number 1s, DeAndre Hopkins? We'll see. I think he can at least be like a tier 2 number 1 receiver. Honestly, kind of what Allen Robinson was in Chicago, where I don't think anyone would confuse Allen Robinson for peak DeAndre Hopkins, but he was still a number 1 receiver before last season here. I think Mooney can get to that level for this football team. More winners and losers coming up through training camp, but this is why you subscribe to the channel, because we're publishing videos every single day, sometimes multiple videos per day here on the channel. The latest Bears news, rumors, updates. We got a preseason watch party coming up against the Browns on Saturday. Hit that sub button. It's free. Appreciate you guys for supporting the show. All right, let's get to some more winners and losers. I mean, really, you could argue the storyline of the offseason for this franchise is Braxton Jones. I mean, this kid comes out of nowhere as a 5th-round pick out of Southern Utah. They went 1-10 his senior year. Yes, he was an FCS All-American, but he gets drafted by the Bears and is going to be the starting left tackle. Are you kidding me? He's the biggest winner, I would argue, of Bears training camp and of the offseason. He has taken virtually all of the starting reps during camp in the preseason, outside a couple of brief ones from Reiff early on. No one saw this coming. Anyone who says they did just is lying to you. No one saw when they drafted Braxton Jones that, he's going to for sure be the day 1 left tackle and start every down. And then when they signed Reiff, you're like, okay, maybe he's got a chance if Reiff plays on the right side. But all in all, no one saw this coming. I didn't see it coming. I mean, did you? I didn't even know who this kid was when they drafted him, but he's got a good head on his shoulders. I think he's got a lot of potential. I'm sure there's going to be some learning pain, but Braxton Jones getting to play on the left side and locking up that spot, that's a very, very good thing. Now, he's locked up left tackle. I think there's still question marks on the right side, although Larry Borom continues to take the starting reps. Who's going to be the starting right tackle? Type RR for Reiff, or you can type LB for Larry Borom. The fact that that's in question makes Reiff a loser. I mean, let's be honest. He signs an incentive-laden deal to make up to $12 million this year, and he's going to be the swing tackle potentially here? Oops. I don't think anybody saw that coming either. Now, I will say this. With Reiff, if that's the scenario, that's a good thing for the Bears, because ideally these young guys play at a level that you let them play and they can grow into long-term starters. And if you have Reiff and Michael Schofield as your backups, that's a pretty positive sign, as it looks like that could be the case. But I got to tell you, when Reiff signed that deal, I don't think he thought he'd be a backup. And the fact that that might end up being the case here is a kind of a crazy development at the end of the day. I mentioned Michael Schofield, too. I think Teven Jenkins is taking him spot. He is a winner, as he is looking like the guy who is going to be the starting right guard for the Chicago Bears. Played really well up in Seattle in his first game on the job at that position. Now, let's be clear, he's still going to have to learn a little bit here. He's practiced at right guard for about a week now. That's not very long. But the fact that this guy, what he's gone through the ringer, the public saying he's soft, he's not good enough. Hell, I even kind of speculated some stuff. Maybe he's not mentally tough enough. And I deserve Teven Jenkins an apology for that, because he has brushed all that to the side and said, you know what, I'm going to put my head down, I'm going to go to work. And the fact that this kid may earn a starting job at right guard after everything, we didn't even know if he was going to be on this team this year. I think he deserves a lot of credit. We'll see how it plays out, but PFF graded him out as an 82.6 in the run game against Seattle. Pass grade was a little bit lower, but hey, listen, the fact that he even has a chance to start for this team, much less play a role, that's very, very impressive from where he was just a couple of weeks ago. Thomas Graham Jr., well, he just hasn't been out there. He's got to be in the loser category. Coming into camp, I thought there was a real chance he would start for this team at the nickel spot, and he's basically missed all of camp with a hamstring injury. And there hasn't been an update in a while. I don't know what the latest is on Thomas Graham Jr. I mean, I think there's a real possibility here as you look at this nickel or this cornerback depth chart here, and I think this could be how it plays out. Jalen Johnson, Kendall Vilder, Kyler Gordon. Now, if they're in 4-3 sets, I think Gordon will be the number 2 outside guy with 3 linebackers. But I think Graham may miss the team. Like, I think he'll make the 53, but it's not a given, which is crazy to say. I thought he was a lock, if not a real chance to start. Now, I mean, the fact he hasn't been out there, he hasn't been able to help himself and show the coaches what he can do. So keep an eye on this. If you want to talk about a surprise cut, don't be completely shocked if Thomas Graham does not make this football team. Tavon Young could be on the hot seat as well. All right, Micah Dew-Treadway, who we've started to talk about a little bit, probably not enough. After Braxton Jones, one of the better stories, a 25-year-old UDFA out of the University of Minnesota who gets a contract after a tryout after the NFL draft. He was the backup, one of the backup defensive tackles on the first unofficial depth chart. I think he's going to make this team. He is impressed enough, especially in that first preseason game. Had another TFL against Seattle as well. I think he's got a real shot to make the 53. He wasn't even on my radar coming into training camp, and now he might secure a roster spot. All right, there you go. Some camp winners and losers for the Chicago Bears with training camp officially wrapping up yesterday. Which player surprised you most during training camp? Was it Micah Dew-Treadway? Was it Braxton Jones holding off a Riley Reiff signing to keep that left tackle job? Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. All right, that's going to do it for today's show. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Hit that subscribe button for the latest Chicago Bears news and rumors, and we'll see you next time here on Bears Now.